Hey everyone, great to see you here today. I want to start with be a little vulnerable, share something kind of embarrassing for me. I can't whistle. It's something, I don't know if it's the shape of my mouth or what it is. Since I've been a little kid, I have been unable to make that sound. Now, some of you, probably most of you, can whistle, and you probably don't think about it, right? For me, it looks like an amazing talent, right? I'm just so impressed because whatever I try, I can't do it. And it just is what it is. Marketing is like whistling. What I want to share with you guys today is, I'll say, a different way to look at marketing than maybe a lot of the marketing sessions you might have participated in. The right marketing with the right messaging, the right budget, the right target, the right place, the right time, all those things added together resonate a lot like you when you whistle. What I'm hoping to do today is share with founders out there some secret weapons, if you will. It's kind of some superpowers that can change how you think about marketing and allow you to be successful. Because marketing's hard. Marketing is hard for the largest companies. It's a challenging practice. As a matter of fact, I'm sharing this slide here because I wanted to just point to the crazy growth in options people have with marketing. 2011, a company called Chief Martech started tracking the number of marketing technology platforms that were in existence. And that first index, there were 150 on the landscape. 2021, 9,932 different tactic options for people with marketing. Overwhelming for the largest company and the largest budget. Founders have two additional challenges, right? One is, unless you've got your first round of funding, you don't have any money, right? How do you deal with this crowd of opportunities without any funds? And secondly, by definition, you're new, right? And marketing is all the more heavy lifting for companies that are trying to introduce themselves into a market, right? So it's really hard to do marketing if you're a founder and you have a startup. And what I see is typically there's three paths founders take. One is they punt, right? They say, you know what? That's on the list for when we get our funding, when we have that money, and then we'll hire a marketing person or a firm and we'll deal with it then. That doesn't work very well. Number two, they try to do a bunch of stuff. They throw spaghetti at the wall while they're building their business, and it ends up this cacophony of poorly formatted, inconsistent stuff that hurts them more than it helps them. It would have been better if they'd taken the first option than that. A third thing that people will do is they will go all in on one strategy with their marketing, right? It's all about SEO, or we're going to build a website or an app that's just going to take over everything, right? And they take a one-dimensional approach and bet the farm, and you can imagine that maybe sometimes that works, but usually it doesn't work. So I want to share a secret, and this is what we're going to talk about the rest of the way. It doesn't matter how much you do with marketing. Successful marketing is why you do it. So I'm going to share 3 superpowers of founder marketing that works. We're going to talk about what those 3 superpowers are, and then I'm going to give you some tools that you could use to develop those superpower muscles for your startup. The best news of all is if you have these 3 superpowers in your business, even before you get your first funding, you have the ability to be successful with your marketing. It's not about how much you spend or how much you do. It's about why you're doing it. Okay, first, some basics. How does marketing work? There's a lot of complicated answers to that question. I want to give you my definition of marketing. It's pretty simple, but it really informs the rest of the conversation today. What marketing is creating and building relationships between your business and your customers and prospects. That's marketing's job in your startup. Sales has a role, product has a role. A lot of people contribute to that, but at its core, that's what marketing is there for. That's why you need to do marketing. So one of the first misses is, if that's true, then, I'll just manipulate or I'll create some transactions. The world's a busy place, and I'm sure you've already found that it's not as easy as saying it and they will come. You need a way to connect with people that don't know you and stick with you through some tough times as they get to know you and start using your products. The secret is meaning. Relationships happen because there's a purpose for the customer and for you to connect. It's good for them for some reason. It's good for you for some reason, or important. Without meaning, relationships don't happen. So marketing's job is to create experiences around that customer or prospect that accumulate and create that meaning. That's really it. That's all marketing is. You've seen huge multi-million-dollar marketing budgets in your lives, either creating them or watching them. There's a lot of moving parts in some marketing programs. As a startup, as a founder, don't go there. That's not your path to success. The good news is, with meaning in your business and your marketing, you can start small and start creating those experiences that create the meaning, that create the relationships. Okay, so obviously experiences everywhere. That must be marketing tactics, right? That's all those things, the campaigns, the emails, the website, the who knows what. Those are tactics. Here's another place that founders fall down. It's called random acts of marketing. Maybe you've heard that term. That's where you say, let's do a video. Yeah, that'll be awesome. And there's a lot of enthusiasm. Or let's go to that big event. Or let's send emails tomorrow. Whatever it is, these things that aren't tied to a bigger purpose are just that. They're random acts of marketing. And now look at it from your prospect's point of view. I hear this over here, and I hear that over there, and I hear that over there. Those inconsistent messages about you cancel each other out. They're busy. They're just maybe have a chance to get to know you, and you've lost that battle because it's this hodgepodge of inconsistent things, right? So how do you fix that? Whether you're a founder or a more established company, it's with strategy. So with the right strategy, you can prioritize those tactics and sequence them and point them in the right direction and have the right metrics, all those things. Sounds like the solution, right? This is what we're going to talk about different today, and that is that alone is not enough. If you just rely on strategy, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of marketing strategies out there. Just like those tactics have multiplied, so have strategies. So how do you make sense of that to decide on which acronym you're going to believe in or whatever it might be? And the answer is you have to go above strategy to purpose. I call it the marketing mindset. And the founder marketing mindset is the secret to success with your marketing as you start off on this journey. So as I mentioned, there's 3 superpowers of the marketing mindset, and that's what we're going to talk about now. The first superpower, authenticity. It's about being truthful and transparent and accurate and honest in everything that you do, from how you talk inside the building or on the Zoom calls, to how you communicate with your clients, to how your offering works with them, to understanding the real need they have versus something that's not real. Authentic marketing cuts through the artificial things and speeds up everything that you do and gives it impact and importance. An example would be, let's say that you did the opposite of that. You have a new marketing campaign or a message, and you tell all your employees about it. And it's based on some popular fad, or you're tying to, let's call it manipulation, right? You're trying to change somebody or almost trick somebody. You don't call it that, but in essence, it's that. It's not the truth of who your company is or what your product does or what they need. What happens then is your employees are tentative because they're trying to remember what the script was. What's the talking points I'm supposed to use here? And it's robotic. And I'm not sure how to answer that question, client. Let me check back. Everything slows down. And by the way, it's artificial. People can tell when you have integrity. And marketing that is authentic cuts through in an unconscious way to your clients, and it attracts them and satisfies them. So, authenticity, how do you act on that? I'm going to suggest two things to start with as a founder. One is you need a true story. One true story about your company. Why do you exist? Who do you serve? And what do you do that helps them? That one story needs to be one story because you are doing things for one reason. Now, there are different chapters to your story, and there are different times to tell different chapters and different ways to communicate it with different audiences. But if you have that story that really boils down to one sentence, that is not a marketing tagline, it's your true story. It's the truth about your business and your customers. Everybody in your team and all of your priorities can be anchored on that truth. And if you really find the true story, it's not going to change drastically over time. It will evolve, but it won't disruptively switch because you have a new, really exciting platform, and so you're going to change all your messaging. If you have that true story, that's going to be an anchor for that authenticity in your business. A way to get to that true story that I'm going to share is something called the truth chain. The truth chain is based on the premise that that true story also has to be your customer's story. It's not about you. If you create a true story that is about how great you guys are or how unique your whatever is, it may be interesting and it may be true, but your client doesn't care about you. Your client cares about how you can help them with a really important problem. So what the truth chain does is it allows you to translate your story from who you are and who you serve and your capabilities to meet in the middle with your client that you can help and what keeps them up at night. And the golden linchpin of the truth chain is how you can help them solve this really important problem. That's where the story starts. If you tell them that, then you can support that with all the other links in the chain. But having that truth chain develops the core of what that true story can be. So I encourage you, the takeaways there, your story can't be about you, and it needs to be based on how you help your ideal client. The second superpower of marketing for a founder is intentionality, being intentional. Strategy always comes before tactics. Don't do anything, spend any money, spend any time without a reason to do it that ties to your story. Measure everything you do. You don't have to complicate it. Remember, you're a startup. You may not have any funding, but you can measure things as simple as observing a customer's behavior and writing it down, right? The key thing is have an intentional plan and do less. It's much more common for businesses to do too much marketing, which a lot of it doesn't get finished. That's the dirty secret of marketing. And I've lived through a lot of marketing organizations. A lot of really cool campaigns get quietly shut down before they get finished. Do less and do it really well, and then learn from that. Okay? So a little bit more on intentionality. Here's some tools for you to use. One is the customer journey, and you've probably heard of that. I'm going to describe the way I think it's really valuable for a founder in a startup. You've got that ideal client, right? Sit down with your team, draw this on the board with these 7 stages, and together paint a picture of what success looks like for your client from the very first time before they've heard of you, through to when they first hear about you, they become interested in learning about you, they commit to you, purchase from you, they use your product, they commit again, and then they become this fanatic for your business. Whatever your ideal path to success is, if you haven't written that down, you are missing some really important information about what you're trying to accomplish from a customer relationship standpoint. And you can very easily document that. So now you have a roadmap, you have a blueprint for what success looks like customer by customer. Then you have another meeting, and this time you say, what does it look like today? Is this all happening? No. Where is it breaking down? Where is the friction? Where is it working really well? So when you do that gap analysis of your customer journey, now you have out of that simple exercise, you see where your gaps are in your program, what's not working for us to get the customer's success, and what's the most important thing to fix. And then pick just the 3 things that are the most important and work on those. Do less, do it really well, and learn. Your goal in intentional marketing is traction. With a startup, right, it's traction. It's the lean startup story, right? You have a hypothesis on this. What's really happening? And you need to figure out, is our idea real? Do the dogs eat the dog food, right? And that traction is when you know that your idea is going to scale and that you're ready to go all in. So marketing can help with that. That's not just a product activity. Marketing is, as we just saw with the customer journey, is a big part of making, watching and diagnosing the traction and the issues you might have. So traction's a really important tool for you to pursue. Another one is MVPs. Now, by that, I'm using a marketing definition of that, which is minimum viable program, marketing program. So what you want to do with your marketing is, again, don't boil the ocean. Let's say you found those priorities and that first priority. What's the least effort you can put in to actually test it and to see what the customer behavior will be? And do that, and do it fast. So those of you that are involved with Agile, it's the same thing, right? It's that spirit applied to your marketing campaigns. You want to be nimble because you don't know until you try it what's going to work, because these are human beings buying this product, whether you're selling B2B or B2C. So use the MVP idea in your marketing programs. Do less, do it really well. And then finally, on the intentionality, you got to keep score. The presenter before me had this great term about enterprise marketing return, and he talked about how it can be one like North Pole metric for the company, right? Your scorekeeping needs to be simple. So let's say you've picked 3 stages of your customer journey to focus on with your marketing at first. Come up with one metric for each of those stages that if that metric happens, if the customer changes that way, it will be successful. You can have other metrics, but it's so common to over-instrument marketing, especially in the startup mode. So choose that simple thing, and I highly recommend that simple metric is directly related to customer behavior. Why? Think back about what our goal with marketing is. It's this relationship. You can watch that. Don't let it be 3 steps away from that, right? Come up with something really simple, and if it's on a spreadsheet to start, fine. Measure that really important thing. Okay, the third superpower of marketing is being generous. Being generous. You might think, oh, customer centricity, customer first. Yeah, but that doesn't cover it, guys. Being generous means getting back to the roots of why you created your business. You wanted to help somebody. You want to make somebody's business or life better. Your marketing should be about making that client's life better. How much can you give away before you have to charge? Instead of, how can we get them to pay for this feature? It's not about you. What is our customer thinking? More meetings that are talking about customer observations and fewer meetings talking about customer manipulation, right? This is a soft topic, but it's so, so important. Companies, founders that are successful have a passion for helping, and it works. Let's say you put out content. You're a thought leader. You put out content. If that content is valuable and helpful, and you do it consistently, you're giving them free stuff. Is really what you're doing. Customers are drawn to generous businesses because they feel like they can trust them. So how do you do that? I'm a big believer in content marketing. It has a role in lead generation, but it has this role in giving things away too. So this content triangle is a great way to think about if you choose this content approach. So that's either thought leadership or a very active blog, or it could be videos on social channels. It could be a lot. It could be, don't be limited by those conventional ones. But all of it is content. It's you sharing what you know before somebody charges you for it. So the trick is create your content inside the content triangle. So there's 3 things that your content needs to include to win here. 1, it needs to be relevant to your client, to your customer. You don't want to create content about something that's not that up at night problem that you are tasked with solving for them. That's where you want to help them, so make your content related to the problem you solve. Okay? Secondly, experience. Your content should include things that you are an expert at. What is your 10,000 hour capability of your business? What's that? Are your employees, half of them data scientists? What is that core stuff you have that makes you special? Rather than telling people about how special you are, create content that draws on that expertise, and they'll see it. They'll get it. They'll see, oh yeah, these guys clearly know what they're talking about, but they're not telling me how great they are. They're solving my problem. What a great idea. And then the third piece that has to be included is value for the client. We already talked about that a little. Think about it. Sometimes there's a place for humor in marketing, absolutely. But sometimes, especially in B2B, something that's really fun and funny doesn't always land so well because there's people, everybody's fighting a great battle, right? They're struggling with stuff, and you have the opportunity to give them your insight and your relevance in a way that solves a problem for them. Might be a checklist, might be a simulation, it might be a spreadsheet, might be a top 10 solutions to this challenge, whatever it might be. They come away from their interaction with you better off. And they haven't paid you a penny yet. And that's why it's so powerful, because there's not a transaction needed. They don't have to give up something to get to know you. You've reduced the friction of that relationship getting started. So those 3 superpowers. I wager you haven't seen those 3 terms listed as marketing superpowers before. It's a different way to look at things. It's the starting place for excellent marketing. There's a whole different conversation after, when the funding comes in, when it's time to strategize on your investments in channels and market segments and all your different ad strategies, all that stuff. That comes later. What we're talking about is building a foundation of meaning that's tied to your company origin story that doesn't put marketing off to the side as a task, right? It's part of who you are. It makes your company better. So even if your company just gets more authentic, your culture just got better. Even if your company is improving on intentionality, your business just got more effective, more productive, right? So these 3 together make your company better. But maybe more important, these 3 together strengthen your customer relationships. Authenticity, transparency, coupled with that steady intention, that makes it clear to your customer what you're about and what you can do for them. Authenticity, that transparentness, demonstrating your generous nature, your focus on giving to them, that makes them trust you. And when you have that intentionality and it's tied to a steady stream of value in your generous approach, they see that you are a valuable partner for them. This all happens before you sign up for any big agency or any big ad campaign. So this is the exciting thing, founders out there. You can do all this with some elbow grease. It's not easy, but it's very doable. Okay, I'm going to take just another minute and show you how you could apply this as a founder at all 3 stages, right? Before you have any money at all, as you're trying to nail down your funding and make that happen, and once you're rolling and you're trying to scale. This mindset of meaning can help you, and these tools we talked about can help you in all those stages. So first, up front, focus on your true story and that truth chain, right? That's the core. You got to have that first. And if you do have it, everything else builds off of that. So start there. Don't need any money to do that. The funding point. Thought leadership is a huge opportunity for you to reach beyond, to punch over your weight, right? You can, if you have a story to tell and you've made it about your clients, you can get the word out with a strong thought leadership program. And again, it's your ideas. Your ideas are yours. You don't have to pay anybody for those ideas. It's doing the work. That traction is here, right? Because you need to prove this stage, this funding stage, you need to prove that your idea, which is your true story, is real. That's what funding is about. And so your thought leadership spreads that word. Traction and MVPs prove it. So then you're ready to scale. Congratulations. That customer journey that you've played with earlier, it's time to make that your scorecard. know everything you can about all 7 of those stages, and you can go deeper and deeper on that, and it becomes your metrics for your organization. And that's the final step there is keep score. And you get beyond that one metric, and there's certainly platforms, and there's complexity that comes later, but when the complexity comes as a solution rather than a distraction, it totally changes in value for your business. So this isn't easy, but it's not expensive, and it's at the core of why you started your business. And you've got what you need to do that. Sitting in the chair right now, you have everything you need to make this happen. What you need is a little activation, a little motivation, a little structure, a little guidance, and you can make this happen for your business. And you will stand out in a way that you can't with whatever marketing budget you magically were able to get. So I wish for you that your marketing whistles loud and clear. I want to share, I really appreciate you guys listening to this. So I want to offer, I'm going to be giving away a signed copy of my new book called On Purpose. If you are interested in that copy, text 66866, text clarity to that number, and that will give me your email address, and I'll put you in the drawing. Thank you very much for your time, and have a minute, 5 minutes if there's any questions.
I'm a big believer in content marketing, but I'm not a great writer.
The question was, well, you go ahead, say it again.
I'm a big believer in content marketing, but I am not a great writer. What can you suggest?
When you say writer, do you mean like skills-wise, right? A couple of suggestions. I've been very successful with farming that out. So the most important thing, which you can do whether you're a writer or not, is create the editorial calendar. So what I'd recommend is just start with the content triangle and your team, and you brainstorm on ideas that fit all 3 of those ticks, right? And come up with a list of great content. You'll find it's very energizing. And then after you come up with the topics, think together on are these blog posts, are they white papers, are they videos, whatever they might be. I've had several clients that they do that, and then they find a writer that's very efficient, and with a simple interview, they can create a series of posts around one topic, and it can be really efficient. Another thing for you to think about, do you have to write it? Videos are so powerful, and you got to play to your strengths. You may decide that for your culture and for who you are, you're going to add more value with a 2-minute video on LinkedIn. And there's things other than videos too. Maybe it's podcasts. Who knows? So don't limit yourself to traditional prose either. Any other questions?
What are some unique ways to give away or to be generous with your content, other than like social media?
Great question. I'm a big fan of, I'll say free trial really broadly, but an example, find a way to give away your expertise beyond words. A great example from a company I worked with. They were in the manufacturing automation business. So they'd go to factories and they go talk to the IT team and they talk about how they'd improve the productivity and look at all the bells and whistles and all that stuff. And they weren't making progress because the IT people just saw them as more work and they were a gatekeeper, right? What they did was they realized their result that they helped people with was reduced scrap. And if you're in manufacturing, that's a big deal, right? So their automation and their expertise, back to the expertise, they were just so good after decades of understanding all the ins and outs of the causes of defects in manufacturing, and their software was designed to fix all that, right? So what did they do? They went to their prospects and even their clients and said, we would love to offer you a free audit, scrap audit. We'll bring in our expert, we'll sit down with you, and we'll go through an audit and give you a recommendation on top 3 ways you can reduce your scrap in your current business. And it's free. Right, you need to put a value on it. That's a $7,000 value engagement. Wow, really? And then when they come in, they shine because they're really good at it, right? So these people are seeing them like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that, and you did all that for free. There's an example. Any other questions? Thank you, everyone. Really enjoyed the day.